Well, I think some of the things that we did well was just getting started and taking that first step. I honestly feel like that's probably the thing that we're most proud about. And there's there's always things that I'm learning along the way. I mean, 5 years in the business, and we're constantly trying to tweak and add new things, new systems, getting things more dialed and automated. So, I mean, even before our call, I'm like trying to talk to Kirby about what's the latest and the greatest because I always want to make sure that the business is, running on autopilot, has all the greatest and latest systems and procedures. And I think one of the things that we did well too was, well, it's kind of a piggyback. I first learned how to do the business solely on my own. So I was in the trenches for the first year. I built all of the systems, all the procedures. I built the business from the ground up. And I think that was really good for me to do because then I was able to hire a VA. Now I have a virtual assistant for the last 4 years that has worked for me, and he is able to run the business the majority of the time. So
Nice.
we're constantly in communication with each other, but he is doing all of like the day-to-day items and taking care of the guests, doing the guest customer service, the guest communications, dealing with the handyman and the cleaners, making sure our units are being turned properly. And then I get on a Zoom call with him once a week, and I'm in constantly communication via text messaging with him as well if any questions arise. But I feel like that has been a game changer for our business because I was like in the trenches working the business. And, of course, everybody knows an Airbnb business is an active business, but by me like leveraging and outsourcing, I was able to make it a more passive business because now I'm not running that business 24/7. I have someone doing it for me. And so that's been a game changer. But through that, obviously, lots of learning curves and how to manage the VA and making sure that we're just implementing the correct tools into the business. So.
Yeah, that's awesome that you were able to do that. I think one of the top comments I get when I talk about we use virtual team members as well, and people say, "Well, isn't the quality going to drop off? Like, if I let this go and somebody else takes over." Like, were you nervous about that, and how has that worked out for you over time?
No, I actually think it works out better because he is so nice. Like he he communicates better than I do to our
Yeah,
guests. So sometimes I'm like a very business person, and so sometimes I don't have a patience for a lot of things, and he has patience for everything. So
that's
no,
awesome.
it was actually probably much better that I outsourced it to a team member because I definitely think that impacts our ratings and our reviews. And he is there, to help with somebody not being able to get into a door or, something happens in the unit or something's not working. He can troubleshoot it and get a team member to the property immediately, which definitely, is the customer service that we want to provide for our guests. So.
Yeah, yeah, I found the same thing too. Like my team members are way better than me at their individual aspects. If you find the right one who like
Mhm.
that's what they do, like they're phenomenal at it.
Yeah, phenomenal.
So
Like,
yeah,
yeah, I wouldn't do it any other way. Like, I love,
yeah,
and I just call him my property manager. So I love my property manager. He's on my team, and yeah, he's a huge asset. So highly recommend.
yeah. Yeah, and there's all those little things that can take up a lot of time that, it's just, and it's not hard things like, it's like somebody gets locked out and you got to coordinate with, a boots on the ground team member, but there's like maybe back and forth text messages or calls and stuff. So, all that time that you would have spent on that thing, which is, it's easy to do, but, you probably shouldn't be the one doing it because
Yeah.
you could use that time to do something, that is a little more valuable for your time. It makes a ton of sense. And when you get there, it's like, how did I ever survive
I know
without
that first
a
year I
virtual
was like,
team?
oh, but it
Yeah,
was so good for me to do it. I
yeah,
highly
to learn it.
recommend that everybody, you be in the trenches, however long you feel like that is, but definitely learning all the ins and outs of the business and then like passing it on to a team member is definitely, I feel like, the way to go. So.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. Um, so when you so transitioning then, I guess, to some of the lessons that you've learned over the years and maybe some of the mistakes that you've made, like where do you feel like are some things that looking back, you're like, man, I wish I had done something maybe a little bit different there.
Oh gosh, that's a good question. There's just so many little things. I feel like just in regards to like dealing with the team members, like how to pay them, when to pay them with the cleaners and the turnovers. I know that was something that I was like trying to figure out what's the best system. Um,
What do you use
because,
now for that?
well, now I'm using Turno, which I highly
Okay.
recommend. But at the very
Yeah.
beginning, I feel like you're just starting and you want to just keep it simple, which I highly
Hmm.
recommend. So I was just Venmoing or Zelling or whatever. But then when you start to scale, you're now like Venmoing and Zelling like a lot of
Yeah.
turns and a
Yes.
lot of people. And I'm like, this just doesn't make sense anymore. And so then you need to start looking for like programs or companies that can help you, for the scaling. So I would say that was probably a lot of, I don't know if it was necessarily, they were definitely mistakes that made, but I think it's just like that stretching and that growing period that,
Mm.
you see the mistakes that are happening and now you're trying to figure them out in real time because you're growing and you're scaling. So that was definitely one of them. And finding Turno and adding Turno, obviously it added a little bit of extra expense, but in the long run, I'm like, it was much easier because now Turno is a great app to use. You can run all of your handyman and your cleaners with their turns, and you can put in inventory needs and you can put in maintenance needs, and you can pay all your people out of Turno. So that was like, a challenge that we found a solution to. And are you using Turno?
Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
was going to say the tools have come a long way. I've
Yes.
had the founder of Turno on this
Oh,
podcast
awesome.
twice. Yeah, and the first time he came on was quite a while ago, like right when the podcast was starting, and Turno left a lot to be desired at the time, and I think he kind of knew that, and then the next time he came on, it had improved dramatically, and his users, the number of users he had, just skyrocketed because it works so well now, for all the things you just described. So I wasn't a huge fan of it in the beginning. Like when you were getting started, we didn't use it either. In the beginning, I made all the payments manually, but as it's evolved and gotten a lot better, I highly recommend it now.
Yeah, I feel like that has been a game changer because that has allowed me to take that portion off my plate. And now my virtual assistant, my VA can monitor it, can pay the vendors, and it's just again something else that's been taken off my plate. So I think if I would summarize a lot of the mistakes and challenges that have happened over 5 years just is I think a lot to like the growing pains, like I mentioned, and then finding a platform or a program that can help, outsource and leverage that pain has been probably our biggest challenge. And so I feel like everything that we use now in our business is really good and really up to date. But again, I'm always trying to find what are the latest and the greatest tools that can, obviously improve our business, make it better, more streamlined, more efficient, So
Yeah. Yeah. And that's a balance too, because you could drive yourself tool crazy every single day
yeah,
because they change. So it's like, it's a balance between knowing that, yes, you're never going to have like a tool that solves every problem, but also you don't want to get lackadaisical and just say, well, the system's okay. I'm not going to look into how to keep making it more efficient. So
yeah.
it's quite a balance. And I'd love to kind of transition into your actual investments at this point. Like what markets did you choose, and how did you choose those markets?
Yeah, so our very first short-term rental that we bought through Kirby's program was in Columbus, Georgia, and there was no rhyme or reason for that market. It was that I had an agent connection. As me being a real estate agent, I have agent connections across the country. And so I had an agent connection there, and she sent me a property, ran it through the deal analyzer through Kirby's program. And, and the numbers worked. We still today have not been to Columbus, have not been to Georgia. We're literally trying to get there this summer. We're really, it's on our goal. I'm like, babe, we have to check out our property. We have 2 properties there now that we have never seen, never stepped foot in. And so we might be doing an East Coast tour and doing Columbus, Georgia, Savannah, Myrtle Beach, kind of doing a Carolina and Georgia tour, because we haven't hit those states. And we, 5 years later, I think it's time to see our first short-term rental property that we have ever bought.
That's amazing. That's such a amazing thing to hear for a lot of people, because one of the top questions I get is, how could you ever manage these remotely? Like, how often do I need to go there? And I give you as an example in a lot of cases, and other people too in the program who have never been to their property ever, which is just like, it's wild for a lot of people to wrap their head around. But I think you were before your time, or ahead of your time, for Columbus, because back then all the rage was like, nobody talked about the secondary markets. It was just the high-end vacation markets. Now Columbus is actually, I think it was on the list of one of the top markets by AirDNA this year.
Oh, that's funny.
To invest in. Yeah. And because these secondary and more affordable markets that really produce higher cash flow have become more popular. So I know there's quite a few people in the program who are, they're focused on Columbus now.
That's funny. We've been happy with Columbus. We want to actually buy a little bit more. We're actually we're also in your backyard in Michigan City. That's our second. So our 3 markets are Columbus, Georgia, Michigan City, Indiana, and then Loomis, California. And Loomis is just by default because that's where we live. But really, we've only bought out-of-state properties for our short-term rental portfolio.
Yeah, nice. How'd you? And you have visited Michigan City since we talked last, right?
Yeah, I've been there twice. So.
Nice. Yeah. Okay.
But my son just bought his first property, and it's in Michigan City. We have not yet visited his property, but that one's about to be launched this week. So
wow, that's amazing. So what did he? Share how old he is first, because people are going to be amazed with that. And then how did he decide on his first property?
So I have an 18-year-old son, and after he graduated last year, and he decided he did not want to go to college, and we were fine with that. We were completely on board with it, but we're like, okay, well, we need to create a game plan, because you're just not going to sit around and do nothing. And so he is working for my husband's government construction business full time, and he wants to build an Airbnb portfolio. So he's been watching us. So all you parents out there, your kids do watch you. So he's been watching us, and he was like, that's what I want to do. And so he makes really good money with my husband's company because it's government. So he gets paid prevailing wages. So as a little 18-year-old, he's making 6 figures a year, and he is required to save like 99% of his money. So in 6 months, he saved enough money for all the down payment, closing costs, everything for his first Airbnb. And he closed on that the day after Easter, that Monday, and it officially just got staged, and it's going to be getting launched this week on platforms. So we're very proud of him, very excited for him. But when we were talking to him, my husband and I were like, why reinvent the wheel? Why don't you just, look into the markets that we're already in? We already have all the team on the ground. So I've already put him in connection. He's going to run his own, create his own little business and run it. But I was like, well, instead of like recreating the whole team, why don't you just piggyback off of my team? And so he's going to have weekly meetings with my VA and use my team on the ground. And he's in text message with them. But I told them all, I'm like, this is his property. You need to go to him. He needs to be the point person. He then can come to me with any questions and, consulting and stuff. But I don't want them to think like that this is my Airbnb. I'm like, this is not my Airbnb. Like,
Yeah.
it's not part of my portfolio. It's his.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so we're very excited. So he just started looking on his own. He got on, Realtor, and he was looking, and he had me and my husband and I in a little group chat, and he was sending us properties. And then, we found one that we liked. And so then, we have a realtor out there. And so then she got in a text with Lucas, and we had Lucas do all of it from the very beginning. So we were all in a group chat. So, it was nice because he felt comfortable and confident, because not only did we have our buyer's agents on the ground, but I'm also a realtor of 20 years. So he felt confident. So yes, obviously his situation is going to be a lot different than other 18-year-olds who might not have a father that is a contractor and a mom that is a realtor of 20 years. And also we own our own Airbnb portfolio. And so he felt obviously very comfortable and confident with our support for him to make this decision. So, so we ran the numbers with him, and it's a cute little 3-bedroom, 1-bath, nice little first Airbnb house that, will probably net around $1,000 a month for him. So,
wow. That he's going to be in such a great position. I mean, doing this at 18 and saving that much to,
he's already saving for his next one. His goal is to buy his next one by the end of this year, like December. He wants to.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. He's going to be very, very wealthy. By the time he's 30, he'll be in an incredible position.
Well, we keep running the numbers for him. We're like, dude, we never had this opportunity. If we had this opportunity as an 18-year-old, like, our life would be dramatically different than it is.
Yeah. I think I'm sorry.
No.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I was going to say, I think there's some nuance to the way you've described this too, that people should pay attention to, because it sounds like to me, you guys along the whole process kind of just walk side by side with him to help him with the things that he needed help with, or questions he had, or needed the support, but yet you allowed him to kind of dictate his own path. You didn't say, okay, you're going to college, even though it's not a good fit for you. That's just what people do. So you're doing college, and then, you were open to the idea of him wanting to invest and letting him go out and find the deal. And, you could help him with that. But I think that's such a smart way of doing it and setting him up to be able to make decisions. And you're not kind of like the parents hovering over him, telling him do this and do that, and wondering why he's rebelling,
Yeah. Yeah, he's very excited. I mean, he's had to do already a lot of adult things. He had to set up his own LLC that my husband, sat with him and helped him do that, and then open up his own bank account. He did that on his own. I sat with him and walked him through how to open up his own QuickBooks account, because now he works 4/10. So that also works really well with his schedule. So Fridays is going to be his day where he's going to have his weekly Zoom call with the VA. He's going to do his QuickBooks. And so I'll be able to, kind of guide him and help him answer any questions he has. Obviously, help train him on QuickBooks. But yeah, he's going to be managing his own books. He's going to be managing his own property, meeting with the VA on a weekly basis, troubleshooting any, obstacles that come along the way, which, nothing is easy in life. Obviously, it's a business and it's an asset. So that's huge. And I'm excited for him that he's starting that already at 18. But yeah, he's already had to do a little bit of adulting. So it's good.
Yeah.